Sorry about that, everybody. Hello. Didn't expect to be working over on my second to last week of work, but hey, it happens. Hello. How are we? Oh. Are we ready for suffering? You better be, because it's coming whether you're ready for it or not, actually. Welcome back to the House in Fata Morgana Requiem for Innocence. If you remember last time, we went to the fair and it was a very fun time. It was very sweet and wonderful and la 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 la. Everybody was having a good time. Morgana blew up at Jaren and had a panic attack, which Jacopo quelled, and he took her back to his home because she did not want to go back to the brothel. PTSD and anxiety? Wow. Those are rough. I can't imagine having both, and I know people who do, and you are like the strongest people I know, on God. But, anyway, let me just give myself a neck pillow. You can hear the squishy beans. Hope it's ASMR enough for you. This time we will be finishing part 1. Nothing fun is happening anymore. Just a warning for child abuse again, violence, and a little bit of gore, a little bit, and just some really depressing shit. Anything that happened in Door 6, Morgana's story, it's up to be portrayed in this story, so keep that in mind. Let's get into it, with Jacopo just in silence. Morning already. Or is it the afternoon? Either way, it's about time I got up. Ugh. My back hurts like hell. Why? Alright, I slept on the floor and... There was something oddly revitalizing about the sunlight shining in through the open window. And the summer breeze lacked its usual stifling heat, in fact feeling quite pleasant against my cheeks. A pair of long burgundy braids danced gently in the wind. Leaning against the windowsill and singing was a young girl, beads of light streaming down over her small robed body. I found myself staring, entranced by the sight. The ground where she stood seemed almost sacred, like it would be forever tainted if I set foot in it. The sound of her voice washed over me like a wave and seeped into my half-asleep body, permeating every fiber of my being. An indescribable amalgam of feelings welled up within my breast. It was a feeling similar to the first time I had heard her sing, only incomparably, I don't know how it's pronounced, more profound. It took everything I had to keep the fire from appearing on my face, spilling from my lips. I simply sat there in silence, taking in the sight and sound. When she slowly turned to face me, the sunlight now illuminating her silhouette.
Oh, I thought you were still asleep.
Hello, Starshine.
Good morning.
Hello, baby. Hi. I just want to hug her. Morgana, your face!
What of it?
In a half frenzy, I scrambled over to the window and grabbed her by the shoulders. Her eyes went wide for a moment. But she didn't shove me aside, only stared. I could see my own reflection in her golden eyes. And then as my eyes grew accustomed to the light, I saw her as she was. Face covered in the same marks I knew so well.
What's wrong? Did you forget I was here?
I could only imagine how stupid my face looked in that moment. Mouth hanging awkwardly, half agape as I attempted to chuckle, only a sigh managing to make it up and out of my throat. Sorry. Still not all the way awake. Was the face I had seen a mere illusion? A fantasy conjured up by my mind? Almost certainly. It was nothing more than a figment of my imagination. But I wanted it to be what she looked like when she healed. And I wanted more than ever to finally see it for real. Because I was standing so close, she had to tilt her head back more than usual to see me, resulting in her face, usually concealed by her hood, being exposed to the sunlight. Even covered in grotesque marks, I was close enough to make out the precise outline of her face, the exact shape of her eyes, the perfect straight line of her nose. With each passing moment, that vision began to seem more and more real. I summoned the image of her healed face once more. Standing before me was a girl who could easily pass as a noble, a beauty and dignity to match her impeccable singing voice. Imposing though she was, I was certain her smile would be filled with warmth.
Is something the matter? Why are you staring at me? I know I'm hideous. You don't have to tell me. So get back.
Morgana.
What?
I think I might love you.
Excuse me?
The words came out entirely independent of my own will. I didn't grasp the meaning of what I had just said. Until after I realized her brow was furrowed in perplexity. Until after, like a total buffoon, I thought, why is Morgana giving me that look? A chill ran down my spine as I finally began to comprehend the absurdity of what I had said. Not a single excuse came to mind. All my words simply vanished into a thick white fog. What had I said to her again? What had I said to this little girl? I loved her? Me in love with a child?
Is that so? Why, thank you.
You sure don't sound surprised. How can she remain so calm? I'm barely keeping it together here.
I don't see why I would be. You're only telling me what I already know.
Well, say again? She already knew how I felt? I didn't even know how I felt.
You care for everyone at the brothel. You love all the girls at the brothel like they're your family. It's quite obvious from your actions.
That is very sweet that she's like, yeah, I know, because you're actually really nice. It's the nicest she ever is to him. And he doesn't deserve it. I think this scene is really interesting because, like, he has such an idealized version of her in his head because he's so unstable and, like, doesn't realize how unstable he is. So when he says something like that, it's like, how do I say? Like him, what's the word I'm looking for? Projecting, like, what he wants to see. Not that he doesn't love the, like, real sides of her and the ugly sides of her and everything. But he is, despite him, he is very romantic, minded, not just in the sense of, like, romantic, wow, likes to go on dates. No, just, like, romantic minded. He romanticizes things. He romanticizes heroism. You know, his whole, like, thing for power and everything. He's romanticizing heroism in that. And I think it's an interesting thing that people don't really talk a lot about with Jacopo. Because I guess it's not as obvious, but, you know. It just do be like that.
I suppose it doesn't hurt to put it into words every once in a while. But in any case, you've made your feelings quite clear. You've made it clear that I count as one of them.
The only thing that's clear here is that you don't understand the first thing about my feelings. No, I meant... That stare could kill a man, and probably should. Do I really want to tell her right here, right now, that no, my feelings for her are different? Use your damn head, Jacopo. She's 11 years old. Yeah, Jacopo. And you're 21. Yeah, Jacopo, you fucking idiot! Again. And there's been really good essays written about him and his character and his imprinting isn't the right word, but like projecting his ideals onto things and like not being fully connected with the reality of a situation. I'm not making excuses for him. I think he's terrible. But I genuinely love this character, and I think it's worth talking about. I think he's wrong for having romantic feelings for an 11-year-old. I think it's inappropriate, but I also think that he doesn't know his feelings. I think that he's attached more than anything, because what he's actually in love with is something that does not exist. Anyway, what the hell's gotten into you? Yeah, I meant it. Exactly like that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I see. Well, I'll say... it means a lot to me to be seen the same as everyone else.
Morgana.
I said nothing. You heard nothing.
God. What is happening to me? I have no idea what's going on anymore. Nothing makes the damnedest bit of sense. I was having a difficult time accepting how taken I seem to be with this girl. With this child. I covered my face with my hands, groaning and trying my best not to pay any mind to the pair of perplexed eyes I could feel staring a hole through me. And I thought, I have to at least wait until she turns 16. Another 7 months pass, bringing them 3 years from their first encounter. Time continued its slow, constant march, and soon winter was upon us. The skies were incredibly clear, hardly a cloud in sight. By all appearances, the weather was great, till the occasional gust of wind came along and chilled me to the bone. Each breath came out in a puff of white, dissipating as it drifted upward. Rubbing my arms as I made my way to where I knew I would find her. Has she ever once skipped a day these last 3 years? Rain or snow, sweltering heat or bitter cold. She always seems to be here when I come looking. I let out a little sigh, then called for her. I swear, you spend so much time in this graveyard that one of these days someone's gonna mistake you for a gravekeeper, or maybe a grave robber. She turned around to face me. She looked moderately annoyed, her glare piercing as ever. I could hear the soft bite of her voice before she even responded. Someone less familiar with her might perceive her mannerisms as standoffish, not unlike she had been when I first brought her here. But I could clearly tell the difference. She was warming up, ever so slightly.
I can understand a gravekeeper, but I take offense at the suggestion I look like a grave robber. I'm praying for souls who have no one to see them off.
She was no longer walking on eggshells through every interaction. And her sense of self-worth seemed to have improved as well. I would even go so far as to say she could get a bit cocky at times, generally at my expense. Good. But that also meant I didn't have to tread quite so carefully around her either. Trading grievances and insults was becoming our personal kind of banter. Rather than signifying a widening rift, the increased level of abuse was a sign of how much closer we'd gotten. Honestly, I don't get it. Why do you care so much?
These are souls that have no one else to pray for them. At best, they may get a bit of lip service from a priest once or twice. It's our responsibility to offer a helping hand to the sick and the poor, to pray for the abandoned souls.
Oh boy, here comes another sermon. What I don't get is why you need to pray for the dead at all. They're just bags of bones.
I hope you enjoy an eternity in hell, blasphemer.
Hey, that was uncalled for.
I'm joking, obviously.
Look at her smile! Get him. Beat him up. Spit him out. Chew him up and spit him out. He deserved everything he got. Even though she cursed the wrong man, he still deserved it. You take black humor to a new level. The fact that she would ever even call such remarks a joke was proof enough of how far she had come. This wasn't the first time I had told her I thought the living were more important than the dead, and we still disagreed on that point. But our differences in values had caused her to push away much harder before than she did now. At least, I was pretty sure she wasn't pushing me away as much. Hey, it's that time again, Morgana. Come on, don't turn away from me. I know you can hear me. I brought ointment, so let me put it on you.
It's a waste of time.
You don't know that. Your arms look much better than before. It won't be long before your face starts healing too.
Ointment isn't free. You're wasting your money.
It's my money. I can use it however I please. So just shut up and let me do this.
You're a very obnoxious man, you know.
What was that? You want me to rub it in real hard, do you?
Fine.
Well, it may appear I was... Sorry, I can't read. It's been a long day. While it might appear I wanted something in return for my efforts, I wasn't in it for gratitude or a reward. It was more like my way of retaliating. She badmouthed me, I made her take my ointment. We had to perform this ritual hundreds of times now, though the exact shape of the exchange slowly evolved over time. Where I would once desperately attempt to shoot down her assertions of wasting your time and there's no point, I come to realize that doing so only put unnecessary stress on her. So I started jabbing back instead. And for all her complaining, I was pretty sure Morgana wasn't entirely put off by my stubborn insistence. The day after the festival, when I had declared my intent to keep trying to heal her face, she had responded with, "I won't stop complaining either." And I had said I'll have to practice not letting it get under my skin as much then. I still remember that day quite vividly, and I hoped she did as well. So while it might come off like we were genuinely fighting, in reality I quite enjoyed our little sparring matches. She was still outwardly reticent and sulky as ever, but in a charming kind of way, now that we had established this routine. Not having to be so painfully careful with my words made things easier for me as well.
What are you laughing about?
Oh, nothing. Hey, don't you give me that death glare of yours.
You think this is me glaring? So I've been meaning to ask you something.
And what would that be?
What are you hoping to get out of repairing my face?
I'm not trying to get anything. I just want you to heal up.
And here I thought you were going to try and make me work at the brothel.
How many times do I have to tell you? I'm not going to make you become a prostitute.
What other reason could you have for wanting my face to get better?
Because I want to see it. Isn't that enough? Just so we're clear, that wasn't me hitting on you, okay?
The thought never even occurred to me. I hope you're prepared to be let down if I ever do heal. In fact, you had best not get your hopes up at all. The higher you let your expectations climb, the greater your disappointment will be when I turn out to be equally hideous beneath these scars. Not even I can remember what I looked like before.
I'm not afraid to be disappointed. That possibility is just part of the fun.
You have as much tact as a worm.
No tact and a preference for ugly girls, I'm told. I'm a real winner.
Ugly... It's a wonder no one throttles you in your sleep.
I'll still be your friend even if you turn out to be the ugliest girl in the city. You should be grateful.
You're unbelievable. And to think I used to think you were a half-decent man.
If you'd like me to go back to walking on thin ice, I can, but my gut tells me that's not what you really want.
There's a difference between not sugarcoating your words and being outright rude, you realize.
Yeah, you're one to talk.
How is it you haven't managed to chase off everyone in your life yet?
Give him time. Honey, give him time. Give him like 6 months. He can do it. Believe in him. It's because he's got the titties out right now. The titties are powerful. But when those titties get put away, everyone leaves. I act like a decent guy around other people. Do my best to fit in.
Then why are you such a dolt around me?
Just doing my best to fit in.
So you're saying that this is my fault?
Everyone could use a thorn or two. Makes it more exciting. You especially. Okay, that should be everything. Does it sting anywhere?
Not particularly, no.
Alright. Oh, also finish up here and get back to the brothel soon. Unless you'd rather I drag you there.
Why?
Seriously? It's your damn birthday, that's why.
And?
Oh, what do you think, dimwit? Maria and the girls want to celebrate. Get back there soon, okay? I'm planning to drop by too. Okay?
Okay.
As much as I'm loath to admit it, she can be kind of cute when she's not wishing me an eternity in hell. Not that I'm ever letting those words leave my lips.
Huh?
So, hey.
I thought you were leaving?
One day, I'll show you the world.
Sometimes I wonder if that's the only phrase you know. Yes, I heard you the first 100 times. I won't get my hopes up.
She thinks I don't sugarcoat my words? Get your hopes up, damn it. Anyway, I'll see you later. Look at this little smile. Look at that smile. Look at those tits. Look at that boy and his tits. Golly. I'm sorry I'm like this. They're just like out there, you know? What am I supposed to do? I had every intention of making good on that promise. And I had more than enough reason to believe I could. Though admittedly, it wasn't until recently that I could say so with such confidence. With great confidence comes great confidence. I can handle the smile or the tits, but not both. So true! So true, it's too much. Pick one. It was no longer a mere slum rat's fantasy. Our ranks were getting stronger by the day. Discontent with the Lord was up, but overall so was our morale. I could feel it. The time was near. Though the biggest motivating factor lay elsewhere, and something that had occurred about a month earlier. I had yet to share that little nugget with anyone else, though. This could be the key to bringing it all together. But I need to keep my head in the right place today. It's Morgana's birthday above anything else. Aw, that's nice. Planning this revolution can wait another day. Yeah, priorities, man. I was probably a bit too eager to get started. My judgment clouded by anticipation. The very thought that I could soon be someone of real significance. And that excitement probably leaked a bit into my conversation with Morgana. If only I'd understood. Had truly grasped the extent of my own capabilities, where I should have been focusing my effort. Then perhaps we could have ended up on a very different path. But it wouldn't be until much, much later that I came to realize the error of my ways.
About time you showed up. Get in here and give us a ham, would ya?
I was engulfed in the scent of roasting meat as soon as I stepped through the back door of the brothel. It smelled like it had even been seasoned with herbs, kicking my appetite in high gear. For the common man, culinary herbs were a delicacy, expensive and not something you could get your hands on easily. And that went doubly so for us in the slums. This is much more elaborate than I was expecting. How did you even get all the supplies you needed?
It's mostly a mishmash of everyone's rainy day funds. Events like this are about the only way I can convince the girls to let loose. Everyone's also concerned about making sure they've always got plenty saved up. Which ain't a bad thing in itself, but they're gonna end up stressing themselves straight to the grave. Whoops! I don't know what I knocked over, but... Oh, it was my pencil sharpener. Hee. I smirked. Maria's heart was always with the girls. Obviously, the party was still for Morgana, but parties were meant to be enjoyed by everyone involved, not only the star. It would have been even better if we could have given all the girls tonight off and partied till we dropped. But unfortunately, business isn't strong enough to afford that. And I'd rather not deal with a bunch of blue-ball buffoons bitching at me about it either. So all the girls who couldn't take off are getting an extra slice of meat to make up for it. You're on cutting duty. And make sure to cut them exactly the same size. Don't want anyone blowing their top about not getting their fair share. The fate of the party is in your hands. Don't fuck this up. I get the feeling I'll be their punching bag no matter how precisely I cut the meat. On a somewhat different note, I'm surprised you had herbs lying around. Oh yeah, those are... They were a gift from one of my regs! Hello, Jaren. I was about to say the same thing. Hello. Hey, honey. You're still here. What's up, Jackie? You're as obnoxiously perky as ever, I see. That's how you're gonna greet me, you big butt? For a particular subset of our customer base, it's that relentless perk that keeps them perky. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a compliment. Some girls have to pretend to be spunky airheads to keep those guys coming back. But you're natural. That's impressive as hell. It is? Whee! I've got the big boss's seal of approval. I don't think you quite get it, Jaren. You know how Jaren used to work up in the city? Well, one of her old clients followed her when she moved down here. And he's the one who gave her the herbs. Not the cheapo bottom of the barrel stuff either. This is some primo shit. Nice haul, Jaren. You're right. You don't get this kind of aroma from a low-quality plant. It's strong enough I almost wonder if people outside can smell it. I bet we'll have at least a few customers drawn in thinking they were craving a pussy only to find out they were really hungry. ¿Por qué no los dos, Maria? Someone needs to get this woman a damn filter. I really hope Morgs likes it. I know she's used to hate even the sight of meat, but it seems she's kind of gotten over that recently-ish. People do change over time, so maybe she'll be fine. Maybe she has some kind of traumatic meat-related past, and she's just now overcoming it. Good call. Or something to that effect. Hey, some help with these dishes would be real nice. Ooh, pick me, I'll do it. All right, Yaki, see you in a bit. Sure didn't take long for her to make this place her home. You make it sound like that's a bad thing. What, do you not want her here or something? Because personally, I'm doing everything I can to make everyone here feel at home. No, I never said... Why so serious? It was just a joke. I agree with you entirely. Girl like her doesn't belong in a whorehouse. No, she doesn't. A while back, I had suggested Jaren look into some other line of work, to take up singing instead of prostitution. On her days off, she still went to the pub and performed, always to great acclaim. And while it seemed like she had seriously considered my proposition, a few days later she said, I think I'd rather stick around at the brothel for a while. You and Maria treat me like family. And I want to be with my family for now, you know? If that's what she wants, that's her choice. I have no right to force what I think is best on her. So, question. Yeah? Have you decided what you're going to give her? I haven't the faintest idea what you're referring to. Bullshit. I know, you know, I know, you know, I know! Why does she have to be so damned astute? Or is it just that obvious? I hadn't spoken about my feelings for Morgana with anyone since I realized I had them. Not even Maria, my closest friend. But she had a way of seeing right through me. And while she often poked fun at me about the age difference, she never actually mocked me. Not seriously, at least. But she did avoid bringing it up when Jaren was around out of respect for her feelings. Pretty much all the other girls seemed to have picked up on it. So likely, Jaren had as well. Then again, it was Jaren, so it was equally likely she hadn't an inkling. After one particularly extensive round of teasing, Maria had gone on to say, in the end, all that really matters is that you're happy. Sure, I'll feel bad for Jaren. But ultimately, me and you, we've been to hell and back together. If I have to pick one of you, it'll be you. Ouch. And yeah, I know, cheesy as fuck. You don't have to tell me. But
hey, there's still the chance Morgana will give you the most brutal rejection of all time. Hell, I call that one more likely than the alternative.
That was her way of showing support.
So what'd you get her? As your big sister, I'd be happy to check out the present before you give it to her. Make sure you don't make too big of an ass out of yourself.
Again, I'm older than you, and again, we're not related. I bought a necklace as per your suggestion. Girls appreciate that sort of thing, don't they?
Most do. Me, I got a taste for knives and other such pointy things. I doubt she has much interest in those, though.
Sometimes I wonder if you're actually a girl.
Excuse you! Who's the last guy you saw with tits like these?
You! It's Jacopo! Funny you should bring that up, Maria. He's the one. He's the one with the tits.
I'm pretty damn smoking if I do say so myself.
Damn, so true though.
You telling me this body don't light a fire in your loins?
Not even a spark. I've grown so accustomed to seeing you over the years, you don't even register in that part of my brain.
Is that how it works? You spend so much time with someone you go numb?
Would you rather I did find you arousing?
Hell no. You so much as lay a finger on me, I'll make sure you never get it up again.
Then don't bring up the subject. I'm going to choose to believe she means I won't get up on my feet again. She did not. Narrator, she did not.
So?
So?
Today's the day, right? You give her the present, then you finally tell her how you feel?
Excuse me? Why would I?
Don't be a wuss. It's about damn time you manned up and told her. I think you got a better chance than you think.
Do I need to remind you how old she is?
12 as of today. Practically an adult. I was knee-deep in dick at that age.
There it is. I love that we get that line 3 times, technically. You're comparing her to you?
The longer you hold off saying something, the more difficult it becomes.
She makes a point.
Break a leg! Party's gonna be in the back, so there won't be any customers around to interfere.
Alright.
Anywho, I've got decorations to put up. You get going, meat boy.
Would waiting until she turned 16 really be putting it off for too long? How would I even go about saying it, assuming I actually did? Even if your face still isn't healed in 4 years, I'll take you as my lifetime partner, Morgana. God, no, that's terrible. There has to be a better way to put it. So much for a nice, relaxing birthday party. Morgana arrived as the sun was beginning to set, and our preparations neared completion. Myself, Maria, Jaren, and a handful of other girls who didn't have to work were gathered in the back room. Dishes stacked with food lined the floor, and our group sat in a circle around it, several different conversations going on at once.
I apologize for not being able to assist in any way.
Don't apologize, it's your birthday! Sit your little bum down and let the world revolve around you for once.
If you insist.
Atta girl, hop on right down. Not in the friggin' corner.
Hey Morgana. There's space next to me. It's a much better spot than over there in the corner. You have easy access to anything you like to eat. Though I suppose if you wanted, I could get your food for you.
I'll sit next to Maria.
Sucks to suck. Don't think I didn't hear that.
Hey there, Morgs! How's the drink? Your head spinning yet?
It most certainly is not.
Well, let's make it spin! Let's make the whole world spin! Whee!
Wine is only to be used for nourishment. It is not meant for base recreation. You shall be smitten down from above if...
It's fine, don't worry! Even God's taking the day off to get wasted out of his mind!
How dare you disrespect the Lord like that?
Eat, drink, eat, drink!
Wait. I can't.
Ha! I'm in heaven! My stomach's in heaven!
She's sound asleep.
Girl acts like it's her birthday we're celebrating here. What do you say? Want me to give her a good whack upside the head?
No, it's fine. Let her sleep. She looks so happy. I would almost feel bad waking her.
If you say so. You're the one in charge today. So you and Jaren getting on all right?
Huh?
It looked like you were trying to keep your distance a little while back. I don't get that impression from you anymore, but if there's any friction at all, don't hesitate to let me know.
I'm getting along fine with her now. If anything does come up, I will tell you.
Okay. Well, I'm really glad to hear it. With Jaren, it's, well, what you see is what you get. Once you get past that, there's never a dull moment with her.
Indeed. Although, it wasn't anything I did that cleared the air between us, but...
Oh?
Never mind.
And this asshole thinks because he's paying, that means he can do whatever he feels like. And having to tell him to back off and just... I can't believe some of these guys.
I'm so sorry.
I've got a good one too. The other day, this guy came in totally shit-faced. Wait, are you serious? Why didn't you tell me about this earlier? I'd have chased the pricks off if I'd known. It seems like any time you get more than a couple of these girls together, conversation inevitably drifts back to work. Which, of course, is the subject Morgana's least keen on. She looks like she wants to run away. I guess I gotta step in. You guys think you could maybe change the subject? Like we have anything else to talk about? Making the birthday girl want to hide in a corner defeats the whole purpose, don't you think?
Oh, no. Don't mind me. I don't have anything I want to talk about.
At least eat something, then.
I've eaten plenty, thank you. I'm quite full.
And how about the cookies? They're barely sweetened and dry as rocks, but they're edible. Jacopo, you little bitch! You've got some stones to shit-talk my cookies to my face! Stop it, Maria! Stop throwing things at me! For God's sake, can you not show a modicum of decorum for just one day? Yeah, you totally want to talk. You could try not being a massive dick for once in your life. Name one thing I've done to warrant this kind of abuse. You first. You're the one who started throwing accusations. There it is, right on schedule, you two little lovebirds. Fight, fight, fight. We are not lovebirds. Ugh, I don't even care anymore. You are right about one thing, though. This is Morgana's day, so let's change the subject.
Like I said, I don't have anything to talk about.
Sure you do. You just have to look a little harder. Not saying you have to reminisce for us. It can be anything. Let's see. Here's an idea. Are there any guys you got your eyes on?
There is.
Look at her little smile. I love her so much. Oh, baby girl. Oh, sweet child. Oh, things are about to happen that are so bad. My sweet angel. I hate it here. But I love it. But I live for it. What? Seriously? Holy shit! Who is it? Tell me who's the lucky guy!
God.
Don't give me that look. I don't need your sympathy. If you're gonna dream, dream big, right? Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Pining after the all-powerful, all-knowing God. I'm with you. You bald-faced liar. The grass may be a hell of a lot greener up there, but it's a bit far, don't you think? You're better off settling for the weeds down here. Did she just imply I'm a weed? Say the young man over... Wait, stop right there. Don't say another word. Whoopsie, me and my big mouth. I almost did your job for you. Damn her, Maria. This is not good. Like hell I'm going to let her spill it on a whim. I have to do something before she has another slip of the tongue. Morgana. What she was trying to say is that I
have to go.
What?
I have to go to the bathroom.
Sure. My sides ain't gonna last much longer if you keep this up. This is no laughing matter. Ow, what the hell? Don't throw things at me. You did it first. Damn it all. Now that was a good laugh. God, you're such a dork. How hard is it to just say it? It would have been easier if you hadn't cornered me like that. You expect me to believe you would have done it without a little nudge? I would have. Eventually. Eventually ain't gonna cut it. Now's the right time. And don't worry, me and the girls won't make fun of you too much for getting your rocks off to little girls. That's not the reason I like her. And besides, I would wait until at least 4 years before. Doesn't mean you can't tell her now. I think it do it wonders, personally. She's, well, you know, so I think knowing someone cares about her will lighten the load a bit. I mean, obviously we care about her too. She's like family. But there are some things sisterly love just can't hold a candle to. Mushy romance may not be my cup of tea, but it doesn't mean that even I don't think it would be nice to have something special every once in a while. When she comes back, give her the necklace and tell her how you feel. And if she turns you down, we can all have a good laugh about it. And you can never show your face here again. Maria and a few other girls chuckled. My lips had twisted almost into a knot from sheer overwhelming discomfort. But at the same time, I knew she had a point. I could say how I felt just as easily as 4 years from now. Couldn't develop into anything for some time yet, no, but simply letting Morgana know that someone cared about her, and her specifically, could very well lighten some of the load she bore. As much as she had warmed up to us, she still very clearly kept herself walled off. And though she tried to pretend otherwise, she did still get rather gloomy whenever she passed by something reflective. But if I could convince her that her physical appearance had no bearing on my feelings, then maybe, just maybe, could clear away some of the clouds hanging over her. Possibly even light the way to the day when I could at last see her smile. That was all the motivation I needed. I'll do it. I'll tell her. Not only for myself, but for her as well. I can do this. And now I'm making myself nervous as hell. Calm yourself, Jacopo. This is nothing. You infiltrated the Lord's manor for crying out loud. Telling a girl how you feel is considerably less likely to kill you. Even a child could do it. You look so tense your nerves could snap at any moment. I am not! God damn it. Please hurry up, Morgana. I want to get this over with as soon as possible. Was that a... Sounded like a scream. Trouble with a client, maybe? No, it didn't sound like that kind of scream. Something's wrong. I can feel it in my gut. Maria, I need you to take the girls down to the cellar now. All right, I'll send them down, but I'm coming with you to see what's up. It could just be a client causing a ruckus. No, you go with the girls. I'll check it out. Now get moving. Okay, I'm going. Wake up, Jaren, come on. Now! Following the first, there were several more screams intermingled with what sounded like men shouting from the guest room. Something very bad was happening out there. My sword is back at the armory. Damn it! Taking a brief detour to the kitchen to grab a knife, I then dashed through the corridor toward the source of the disturbance. Shoving my way past a several-layer thick makeshift curtain. No! Help! Stay back! I'm just a customer! I don't have anything...
What the hell was I seeing?
Help!
Sorry, my voice is like cutting out. Like in real life, not in technology. Can't do it. Why was this happening? Seriously, all they got? My shit's worth more than most of this garbage. Take the whores alive, you hear me? They'll probably sell for more than anything else we find. They were laying waste to the brothel. Untrained, unarmed, and unclothed, the girls and their clients alike were helpless against the slaughter being rained down upon them. Bludgeoned, mutilated, massacred. A good dozen men, thieves by the look of it, had swarmed the brothel, utterly ravaging it. Blood spattered every which way, staining the colorful fabrics hanging on the walls. The stench of blood, screams of agony, cries of fear, and hoots of mad glee, all blending into one sickening blur. I nearly stepped into the chaos, but stopped myself at the last second. I was furious. Of course I was. I knew those girls, and this band of barbarians was slaughtering them before my very eyes. I wanted nothing more than to charge in and rescue all of them. But I also knew damn well that me charging in there alone would accomplish nothing. God damn it. Why now? Why here? Why? And how did they get so many men in here? If there were any signs of organized movement, someone would have noticed. I would have heard about it. How that they managed to sneak past everyone we have on patrol. How is it even possible a bunch of damn bandits managed to organize a raid of this scale without anyone catching wind of it? There's an Italian with his tits out, just standing there and staring at us. Should we do something? Nah. They're like, no, it's a nice view. Put away the view? Damn. Damn it. There's no saving anyone in the guest room. I need to find whoever else I can and get them out through the back. As soon as I decided there was nothing I could do here, my next job was obviously to minimize any further loss of life. I knew logically it was the smart thing to do, but that knowledge didn't do anything to quell the anger roiling around inside me. And then another thought snapped to the front of my mind, rattling me further. Morgana! She had said she was going to the bathroom, which meant she hadn't come this way. Or so I dearly hoped. But hope wasn't enough to overcome the fear that she had. I searched frantically for any sign of her. More panicked than I even realized. I knew exactly what one of those brutes would do to Morgana if they happened across her. A prostitute in decent health they would merely take captive. But seeing Morgana's face, they would assume she had a kind of a disease. And they would kill her without second thought. Morgana! Intending to take my search elsewhere, I set off, my shadow subtly darkening. But in too much of a rush to notice. Something seemed to crash into me from behind. The world flashed in and out of view. For a split second, the multicolored fabrics around me appeared in black and white. I barely held on to my consciousness. A few seconds later, the pain set in. My gaze drifted downward to the curious protrusion of my stomach, the tip of a blade sticking out of my gut. Blood streamed along the metal surface. I twisted my body, distinctly aware of every minuscule movement of the blade as it slid through raw flesh back out of the hole it had entered. It was almost enough to make my legs buckle. When I finally managed to turn all the way around, there stood a large man, probably grinning. He kicked me backward, and then rammed his heel through the gash in my stomach. I let out an animalistic howl. It was a pain unlike any I'd ever experienced before. I felt as though I'd been struck by lightning. The only thing I had room for in my mind was overwhelming agony. And before long, it reached its breaking point. And the whole world went black.
Jacopo! Jacopo! Wake up, please! Open your eyes! I can't have you dying on me, too! I'm begging you! Open your eyes! Jacopo! Where am I? The back room of the brothel. Alive. Where is she? Lie back down. Are you trying to kill yourself? You're hurt bad enough as it is. I've been bandaged up. They're still bright red. I guess the bleeding hasn't stopped. I'm cold. I swear to God, I was sure I had lost you. Maria, are you crying? You got a problem with that? Asshole. I'm sorry. How many years has it been since I last saw her cry? It was back when she was 12, I think. Besides us, there are 2 other girls here. No sign of Morgana or Jaren. This can't be everyone who made it, can it? I have to see. What did I just say? Lie your ass back down. We need to give it some time to heal before you move around too much. Jacopo!
Ignoring Maria's pleas, I stumbled my way toward the guest room, leaning against the wall for support. I had evidently lost quite a bit of blood. I was freezing cold and constantly on the edge of vomiting. My body was heavy, like someone had strapped a boulder to my back. My vision swirled, distorting with each step I took. I knew it wasn't that long of a walk from the back to the front, but it felt like it would take me ages just to get down this hall. Like I was on an endless march toward a vast, empty abyss. I braced myself. But what I felt when I stepped into that room was a despair too deep for words. The meager scraps of strength that had carried me this far dissipated, and I slowly slid down to my knees. The door hung open, a blood-soaked curtain flapping in the wind. The deep crimson was a stark contrast against the brightly colored fabric. The girls had dyed it themselves. I could still remember Maria first telling me about however many years before, her eyes alight with pride. How, when you put a whole bunch of different colors together, made the place seem almost otherworldly. And the patrons who had been drawn in by its allure today had not found themselves in the land of milk and honey, but instead been cast into a pit of death. Several corpses lay motionless around the room, their faces twisted in agony, their eyes vacant. What the hell? Why? How could this happen? I asked, stupefied, neither expecting an answer, nor trying to place the blame on anyone's shoulders. It was an empty, meaningless lamentation, powerless as the man who had uttered it. All of us felt the same way. Hopeless, helpless, horrified. Not more than an hour ago, we had been having a party for God's sake. Fooling around like a bunch of idiots, the girls complaining about their clients, plates of food specially made for her birthday. Her birthday. Where's Morgana? I couldn't find her. Why not? I'm sorry. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find her. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell her I wasn't blaming her, but I couldn't find the words. If anyone, it was myself I was disappointed in. How could I have failed to keep her safe? Why had I been unable to find her? Why was I so damned powerless? This was supposed to be a good day for her. I had wanted to make Morgana's 12th birthday into a special occasion, something truly memorable, to celebrate the bright future ahead of her. And I had failed, in the worst way imaginable. What was supposed to be a celebration of life had ended in a pile of corpses, most of the surviving girls taken captive, and the brothel in shambles. Morgana, who it was all supposed to be for, was most likely dead as well. Ugh. She was dead. Morgana was dead. Before I had the chance to say anything, the girl I loved was gone. All because I was weak. Because I hadn't been cautious enough. Because I was completely, utterly powerless. And now, she was gone for good. Before I had managed to make her smile even once, I was going to show her the world. How full of myself was I? I hadn't done a single damned thing for her. Physical strength was meaningless for what I wanted to achieve. What good was being number 2 in our little band of peacekeepers if I couldn't even stand up to a pack of bandits? I didn't have any real power. I was worthless, helpless, weak. My sole job was to keep this place safe, and it was painfully clear now how unsuited to the task I was. My initial fears were right. It was only the 4 of us who had made it through the assault. Maria had said that while they had made it to the cellar safely, they were soon discovered, and most of the girls taken captive, Jaren included. If only she had quit, left the brothel, taken up singing at the pub, and she could have been spared this. Spared having to be kidnapped for a 3rd time. But because she thought of us as family, because she cared about and wanted to be with us, she was taken away. If I had power, this all could have been prevented. Not physical strength or skill with the blade, but real, meaningful power. Political influence. Import. If I weren't a peasant, no one would dare stand up to me. No petty thieves would ever consider raiding my property. I could have hired guards to watch over the brothel. The only reason the Lord, that reprehensible man, was still alive was because he had real power, enough to assure his own safety. If I had that kind of power, everyone would still be here, safe and sound. I could have made certain of that. Maria wouldn't be crying. Jaren would be still part of our family. And she, Morgana, would still be alive. She would still be by my side. That one simple thing could keep anything like this from happening again. What if I told you it gets worse? What if I just told you it gets worse? Nice. Got him. In short order, Gratian burst into the brothel. Seeing the carnage, he wailed in grief, which quickly transformed into fury. I watched on, only really half paying attention as he raged. He marched over and said something or other, though I couldn't say what. After the fact, Maria told me that I had been in a stupor the whole time Gratian was there. He'd apparently tried to cheer me up, though soon found himself frustrated and finally disappointed in me. He's trying. It took 3 days for me to get back on my feet, which is amazing considering you were stabbed through the stomach. There was no sign of Morgana's body anywhere in the ruins of the brothel, which meant there was a chance, however slight, she was still alive. I clutched tight to that tiny sliver of hope, searching desperately for any sign of her. Maybe she had realized something was wrong and gone into hiding. But no matter how many people I talked to, no one had seen anyone who matched her description. She was just gone, like a puff of smoke. Which left 2 possibilities. Either she had been taken along with the other girls to be sold off, or she had been killed, and her body disposed of somewhere out of sight. While the latter seemed significantly more likely, deep down I still yearned for even the slightest trace of her. Maria encouraged me to let go, to move on, though I knew her well enough to know that it wasn't out of a lack of compassion. The whole affair had visibly taken its toll on me. I've heard and like read interviews of people who have been their houses have been broken into. That's like so just a trauma we don't talk about. It's so terrifying. That's such an invasion of privacy. Like, God, I hope that never happens to me. I can only hope. One day, about a week later, my wound's still healing. I made my way through the slums. Nestled away in an alleyway stood a nondescript little shack. I knocked on the door, and a few moments later, it slid barely half an inch open. Just enough for the sole resident to peer out at me, suspicion clearly visible in her eyes. But once she realized it was me, warmth filled her gaze. She waved for me to come inside, a gesture that somehow made it feel like I was being invited into another world entirely. Beyond the door stood a noble woman who held herself with an elegance and grace unbefitting of the slums, but a darkness that felt right at home.
I heard about the attack on the brothel, and that you were hurt. I'm so glad to see you're well.
You were concerned about my safety? The woman peeled back her hood, revealing her face. Though age had clearly begun taking its toll on her, there was still striking beauty to her. A kind of beauty impossible to attain down here in the dregs of society. Her hair was a burnt brown, her skin dark, and her facial structure somewhat similar to mine. I remembered then that this wasn't the first time I'd seen her. Though it was fairly recently, not the many years ago she would have me believe. We briefly crossed paths on the day of the Midsummer Festival. The woman I had bumped into, that was her.
Of course. Show me a mother who is not always concerned about her child's safety.
The woman's name was Ginevra, and she claimed to have been a maidservant for the previous lord. It was unusual enough for someone of her stature to be living in a rundown shack in the slums, but her story got even stranger. She had supposedly had intimate relationships with him. She had born his illegitimate son, and a month earlier, she had come to me and said that I was that child. Says the woman I'd never seen until a month ago.
Physical distance has no bearing on a mother's love. If you had gone to speak with the Lord and revealed your lineage when I first came to see you, you would never have been in that kind of danger.
Ginevra spoke as though she knew exactly what had been going on through my mind the past week. The very words that had dominated my thoughts as I looked out upon the wreckage. If only I had done as she said and asserted my nobility, and I would have had the power to prevent the attack on the brothel, to protect the people I loved. What if what Ginevra had said was true? The Barnier family once possessed more land than even the king. That land, and the family, was divided up between each of their sons. The Barniers were only a few generations removed from the current royal family, which was why they controlled so much land in the first place. And that meant, though it had diluted with each successive generation, there was still royal blood in the Barnier bloodline. And a child begotten by the previous lord was more than entitled to a place among the nobility. However, realistically speaking, even if I had lent my ear to her cajolery... Anyone want to help on that one? Cajolery? It wouldn't have changed anything. Or worse, I could very well no longer be in this world. I wasn't stupid. This noblewoman, she was just using me.
There is still time. Go to the Lord's manor. Show him.
I'm not really your son, am I? Ginevra fell silent for a moment, observing me. I had no memories of my mother. Sure, it might be nice if she were to show back up someday, but it just wasn't likely. Her whole story was extremely contrived. The sun could decide to rise from the west one day, and there would still not be a drop of noble blood in my veins. I knew perfectly well how filthy the blood in me was. Discussions will progress much smoother if we both know what the other wants out of the arrangement. Start by telling me who you really are. Were you actually a maidservant for the previous lord?
Yes, I was.
She gave me a nod, then walked over to a grimy shelf and retrieved a ring that looked very much out of place. It was made of gold, engraved with an elaborate insignia. There wasn't a metalworker anywhere in the slums, or the city proper at that, who could craft a piece so intricate.
Look at this. It's the Barnier family crest. The previous lord gave me the ring as a gift. And I've kept it ever since, even after our relationship was discovered and I was chased out. I didn't sell it. because I knew I was with child. They will have no choice but to acknowledge you as a legitimate heir if you show them this ring.
Why did you wait so long to come find me then?
I was afraid they might kill you if I brought you in as a baby.
Why were we separated?
Misfortune. One day bandits came and kidnapped you. Presumably they were hired by the Barnier estate because they didn't want your existence coming to light. I consider it a miracle you are still alive.
I can only imagine the stern look on my face as I listened to Ginevra speak. Part of me did indeed want to take everything she said as true. Wanted to believe I was someone important. Wanted to grab hold of the fantasy that I did have noble blood in me and never let go of it. And had I not come face to face with my own powerlessness a week earlier, perhaps I could have swallowed the delusion. Used it as a stepping stone for my dream to show Morgana the world. It would appear you've done your research. I don't have any other family, to the best of my knowledge, which does indeed make me a good candidate for you to step in and claim your stake on. If I were to guess, your child with the Lord has either passed away or never existed at all. It's probably true that you worked at the Barnier's manor, and it's probably true that you had relations with the former Lord. You were chased out, and now you live in poverty. You want to go back to your former, more comfortable life, and while you're at it, take vengeance on the current Lord. Or perhaps you simply want the entire noble class to suffer. The specifics of your motives are irrelevant, though. Being a woman, you have no means to accomplish that yourself, so you came up with the idea of using a fake son. If your child were still alive, he would be right about my age, wouldn't he? And we look similar enough for you to convincingly claim we're related. But the biggest reason you chose me is because I've made something of a name for myself. Because I was one of the people involved in inciting the revolt 3 years ago. The perfect choice to spearhead a revolution. How dramatic. The man who set the Lord's slaves free was secretly his family. The people would eat it right up. So, how far off am I?
Huh. You're sharp for a filthy peasant. It would seem I chose wisely.
I was right. She was a manipulative, conniving shyster. But her insults didn't bother me in the slightest. Those words made so much more sense than any mad claim that I had royal blood in me, that I was some kind of hero. Following suit, I twisted my lips up into a smirk. I was a filthy peasant, and I was fine with that. All it meant was that I had to claw my way up to the top. I'm in. Ginevra and I then discussed the details of her scheme, after which she gave me the Barnier's ring. I doubt anyone would have ever imagined it would end up in the grimy hands of a slum rat. Once our discussion was done, I headed straight to the pub where the rest of the gang was liked to congregate.
Jacopo! Should you really be on your feet so soon?
I'm fine, thanks.
I'm glad to hear it. And I'm so sorry about what happened at the brothel.
Is the gang here?
Yes, near the back.
Thank you.
Are you sure you're okay? Okay, bye!
Well, look what the cat drag did. Was just talking about going to whip your sorry ass back into shape. You ain't still moping, are ya? I get it, kid, I do. It's bollocks. But you're a man. Instead of crying, you should be... Gratien. Yeah. It's time we started ourselves a revolution. Are you just gonna stare at me or actually say something? You're the ones always going on about revolution this, revolution that. I think it's called being shocked to silence. You serious about this, Jacopo? Look at this fucking... Okay. Gratien. Gratien, sir, please. Am I one to joke about this sort of thing? No, you're not. Sure as hell aren't, are ya? Well, it's about damn time if I do say so myself. I knew you'd come around eventually. I knew you wouldn't stay sulky forever. Things will get way better once we rip that fucker's head off. Should cut down on the number of people turning to thievery, so we'll never have to deal with anything like what happened at the brothel again. Never again, you hear me?
Indeed.
What do you have in mind, Jacopo? Didn't you say we need help from a noble to have a chance? We can figure that out after we crush the Lord's skull. Yeah, I don't think that's the best plan. What's gotten into y'all? You're always going on about how you want to stage a revolution, and now that we're actually talking about it, you're pussying out? No one's pussying out, it's just... we have a noble. For real? Well, if you got it all worked out, why didn't you just say so? So who's our guy? Who's the noble who's agreed to give us a hand? The former lord's illegitimate son. His actual son? Really? That means he could legitimately inherit lordship. Whoa, how the hell did you get in bed with the biggest fish in the city? Interesting phrasing. If you're telling the truth, this is huge. That don't just give us a leg to stand on, this puts the damn law on our side. So how hard it'd be to set up with a meeting with this guy? This ain't some measly uprising. If we're going through with this, I'd like to see our royal sponsor for myself. You're looking at him. Say what? I am the former lord's son. Yeah, I have to agree. No way, not a chance. Seriously, kid. You need to find yourself a functioning sense of humor, because that just ain't funny. I'm telling the truth. And this ring proves it. It's a nice ring and all, but how does it prove you're a Barnier? Where'd you... how... This is the real deal. I was a slave at the Lord's Manor for a while. I've seen the family crest enough to recognize it. As I said, I'm not the kind of person to joke about this sort of thing. So wait, you're really... Holy shit! I can't believe it! One of us is the actual noble! You always did seem a little not like the rest of us, Jacopo. More uptight. Pretty sure I said the same thing when I first met you. That you looked like some rich aristocrat kid. This is great, guys! We can actually do this! We can make this happen! Let's do it. Let's start a revolution. Yay! Requiem. Ugh, nah. It's nothing. Just surprises all. Who'd have freaking thought? You, a noble? It's madness. How long have you known? And why didn't you tell me? I thought we were friends. I only found out recently. I'm sorry for keeping it from you. It all happened very suddenly. I was waiting for the right time to say something. No need to apologize, kid. You just put the wind back in our sails. Don't think I'm gonna start buttering you up just cause you're a bona fide stick-up-the-ass type now, though. Of course not. That's the last thing I want is to see you licking my feet. Alright, fellas, we got ourselves a noble, so let's set the date and get this ball rolling. Yay! Mega yay! Super yay! What had been nothing more than a pipe dream was, against all odds, soon to be a reality. Everyone wanted the Lord removed from power. They were angry and frustrated, and on several occasions had even seriously considered resorting to another revolt to make it happen. But no one would be able to turn those emotions into actions. Because they all knew a revolt was destined to be quashed before it made any difference. That there was no hope to be found down that path. But an actual revolution, that was another story. Especially with someone poised to take the Lord's place on their side. They had a fighting chance, and they had no reason not to take it. As the fire in their eyes swelled to a blaze, mine seemed to sputter out, leaving behind a withered husk. I felt as though I was sitting in a theater, watching on as the story unfolded before me. No, that didn't quite capture how I felt. I wasn't even watching it with my own eyes. Merely listening quietly as someone recounted for me their heroic deeds. The fact that I was an indispensable part of this operation still hadn't fully sunk in. All I knew was that I wasn't completely powerless anymore. But while fiery passion and hope for the future filled Requiem and the rest of the gang, a dark, poisonous revulsion for God and fate streamed in to fill the hole left in me by the attack on the brothel. Preparations proceeded smoothly, with Ginevra providing inside information and guidance. As I had expected, there were a not insignificant number of nobles dissatisfied with the way Barnier ruled, and they were constantly looking for a way to eradicate the cloud of pestilence hanging over the land. However, the Lord had eyes everywhere in the upper circles, and he was especially mindful of those who associated with whom, and how often. Any signs of opposition were swiftly dealt with before they had a chance to pose any threat. So nobility needed an outsider, someone the Lord wasn't on the lookout for, to step in and assert power. Ginevra arranged for several guards in attendance within the Lord's manor to betray him on the day of the revolution. They would open the doors for us from the inside, and we would storm the manor. Structurally, the plan was similar to the slave revolt, the two major differences being my role, and the Lord's death being our primary goal. As the day drew near, it was all anyone in the slum seemed to be talking about. Though we did our best to encourage everyone to stay quiet so as not to alert the Lord, it was impossible to keep the excitement contained. And it wasn't long before word reached Maria's ears. She approached me, pale as a ghost, and attempted to talk me out of it.
Haven't you had enough danger for one life? Come on, forget about all this revolution stuff. We can build up a new brothel and just stay low for the rest of our days. Does that really sound so bad? You're the only friend I've got you left, Jacopo.
She's practically begging, which she almost never did. While I sympathized with her, Maria's desperation did nothing to try my resolve. And before long, the day was finally upon us. Hear me, my fellow citizens, who live in suffering at the hands of your supposed lord. Within me flows the blood of the previous lord. I am the rightful heir. Behold the Barnier's golden ring, proof that I am of noble birth. Victims of this terrible tyrant, the time has come to start anew, and I shall be the one to lead you down that path. The poor, the hungry, the deprived, all of you, stand with me. Can you hear the people sing? Before we commenced our strike on the Lord's manor, I gave a little speech in the city square. Not because we actually needed them to take up arms and fight with us, and because we needed to make a public proclamation of our position before overthrowing the Lord. They needed to know we were not merely opponents of the Lord, but proponents of the common man. That we had a legitimate cause and a legitimate claim to power. If we were to leave them in the dark, it would only sow confusion and unrest when the word of the Lord's death came out. They had to see us as their liberators, not a greater evil swooping in to squash a lesser one. The Lord had been squeezing everything he could out of them for years, sucking them dry, so I didn't expect anyone to actually have the willpower to join us. The important thing was that they knew who I was. But I had underestimated them. A slow trickle of people stood to join us, and by the time we were at the city's edge, we'd accumulated dozens of additional men, transforming our little uprising into something of a much greater scale. The people had been waiting, day in and day out, for someone to take up the banner and lead the way. It didn't matter that the one holding the banner did so under false pretenses. Nice castle. Intruders! We're under attack! Yay! Fuck 'em up! With the added support, our forces rendered the manor's defenses practically useless. Townsfolk flooded the property, overwhelming even fully armored soldiers. Farmers turned the tools of their trade into deadly weapons, plunging all manner of spiked implements into the guards' necks. It didn't take long for the pungent stench of blood to fill the air. Panicked servants scrambled away from the chaos as quickly as they could manage. I made my way through the corridors to the Great Hall, where the Lord presumably waited, Gratian at my side. We're here to relieve you of your head, Lord. Have these savages removed from my property immediately? Yes, my lord. I guess I shouldn't be surprised defenses are the heaviest here. Watch yourself, Gratian. You can shove that concern right back where it came from, kid. I ain't about to let a bunch of mooks do me in. No number of these pansy little fuckers is enough to take me down. Is there any situation capable of tempering that big mouth of yours? You can handle all the guards, then. I'll take care of the Lord. You want to take the prize all for yourself, eh, kid? Normally I'd tell you to piss off, but I'll give you this one. It's what the people'd want besides. Thank you for understanding. But remember, if you screw this pooch, I'll be making sure you're the laughingstock of the whole city. Don't worry, I will come back with his head. The fact that Barnier was still here suggested he knew he had nowhere safer to flee to. Unlike the slave revolt 3 years prior, we were entirely on the offensive this time. He didn't appear particularly perturbed about this predicament, though. He likely had little doubt he would make it through the day safely. I knew Barnier was skilled with the sword. Despite Algratian's talk, the guards he kept by his side were hardly going to be third-rate. They would be the best of the best. Praying Gratian would be able to hold them off long enough, I weaved my way through the wall of armed men, marching straight for Lord Barnier. He slowly drew his sword, readying himself for combat. Well, imagine that. It's you again. I had assumed you died off in a hole somewhere. Hate to disappoint you, but staying alive is one of my few talents. How fitting for a filthy maggot. Well, I hope you're ready to be devoured by that very maggot. It would seem your tongue has gotten rather sharp since we last met, though I needn't remind you how this played out 3 years ago, do I? Your blade will never get anywhere near my head. I will, however, give you a good reminder of precisely how feeble and worthless you slum rats are. Within me flows the blood of the royal family, direct descendants of God himself, while your blood is made from the refuse of the earth. We are no more the same species as a worm is a wolf. Your very being in my presence is a slight of the highest order. I think you'll find our blood is much more similar than you think. When I take that ugly head off your shoulders, we can both get a good look at how equally filthy your blood is to mine. I am not the boy I was 3 years ago. I'll drag you down from your throne on high and show you for the dregs of the earth you really are. You would dare insult me, cur? We traded strikes, going on offense and defense in roughly equal parts. Barnier was quick on his feet and quicker with his blade. When I attacked, he swayed effortlessly out of its path, like a stalk of wheat in the wind. And when he attacked, he was like a typhoon. He had a prowess that could never be overcome with brute strength. However, I had not spent the last 3 years idle. While I could hardly imitate the refined swordsmanship of a trained nobleman, I had a much better grasp on how and when to most effectively put my weight into a swing, and how to maintain the ideal amount of distance between us. And there was only one other key difference. I had no intention of running. Either I would take off his head, or I would end up a bloody heap on the floor. There was no other way this battle could end. Think about what you're doing, slum rat. About who you're pointing that blade at. An attack on me is an attack on God. It is an act of unspeakable sacrilege. Ha! Little late to take the moral high ground. You that afraid of dying? Then put your tail between your legs and start running. You insolent. I am the rightful heir of the Barnier family. The blood of the kings of old flows in my veins. And I am the ultimate ruler of this land and my people. I would never condescend to turn my back to a worthless rat. Well, don't say I didn't give you the choice. That just means we'll keep on doing this until one of us is dead. Every swing, every step, every slight shift of balance had a little more weight than the last. But unlike last time, where the pressure had only served to light a fire under me, it was now building up inside me, growing, taking form. I could now perfectly trace the path of his blade dancing through the air. Back then, the only advantage I had over Barnier was physical strength and pluck, but things were very different now. He was agile, but I could keep up with him. No, I was beginning to overtake him. Allow me to borrow your words, if you would. Perhaps you should save the snide yapping for when you have the skill to back it up. Don't get cocky, you insignificant rat. You treacherous cur! The Lord swung down at me with all his strength, and I managed to parry the strike with little trouble. In that moment, I had undeniable power. Power. That's right. I wasn't powerless. And I could never let myself be powerless again. Ever. And if I couldn't manage that, then I deserved to rot here as the weak, worthless man I was. I had the chance, here and now, to take out not only the Lord,
but the me of the old as well. The helpless, impotent boy who couldn't even protect the ones he loved. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll show you that I'm not who I used to be. That I'm not that sniveling little boy from 3 years ago. Before long, Barnier was coming up against the far wall. You impudent worm! We were both breathing hard, dripping with sweat. The air seemed to waver like there was a fire burning between us. A fire fueled by our own souls. And that heat extended to the entire hall, in staunch defiance of the cold winter sitting beyond the walls. Perhaps the room had transformed into one of those halls of hell itself. Where's your god now, huh? It's time to end this. Your time on this earth has come to an end. Barnier! I readjusted my grip on the sword, repositioned my feet on the hard floor, lining everything up for my final strike, and then threw a little extra fuel on the fire, before breaking into a dash. However... Wait! What? The last person I expected to see stood there between me and the Lord, bringing me to an emergency stop, just moments before I would have taken off his head. Jaren! But because I had been running at full speed, I staggered, almost tripping before catching my balance. She reached out, placing her hands on my shoulder, pleading at me with eyes the color of early spring leaves. I could see myself, aghast, reflected in those eyes. I shouldn't have stopped. I shouldn't have hesitated, for any reason. I should have knocked Jaren to the side and taken off Barnier's head. But a torrent of questions rained down on me, entangling me from head to toe like a spider's web. Why? How? What was Jaren doing here? Why did she ask me to stop? Why was she standing between me and Barnier? No. The answer hit me like a bolt of lightning. Only 4 people had survived the raid on the brothel. But we had prepared a safe room underground in case of emergency, and the stairs down were hidden beneath the floorboards. Yet Maria had said they were found quickly, and most of the girls taken captive. You didn't. The attack had been well organized and large scale. Could the aroma of the herbs, which was strong enough to be smelled outside, have been some kind of signal? How could you? How could you betray us? What came out of my mouth was not words, though, but a pained, visceral wail. But overpowering everything else I felt was paralyzing shock. The blade sticking out of Jaren's chest pierced my breast. Our blood flowed down opposite ends of the silver edge, melding into a single stream. I had completely lost any sense of what was happening, left only with the crushing bewilderment. Barnier let out a deep, bellowing laugh from behind Jaren. The sound resonated through the blade in his hand. I could literally feel him mocking me from inside my body. Why? How could you do that, Jaren? No. How could you, Barnier? Jaren had double-crossed us. As much as I didn't want to believe it, I no longer had much of a choice. She had claimed she thought of us like family, when in reality she was colluding with the Lord. She was the one who had brought ruin on the brothel. I couldn't reconcile with what I thought I knew. I couldn't forgive that kind of betrayal. And I couldn't even begin to comprehend Barnier's actions. How can you hide behind her when she stood up for you? How can you so readily cast her aside? She saved your life. How could you do this to her? What are you laughing at? Look at the girl. Look at her face. What? Why was Jaren? How could she possibly smile about any of this? What was going through her mind? Had she gone mad? I'd never seen her like... Wait. Yes, I had. I knew that smile. All too well. When the realization struck, an almost painful chill crawled up my spine.
Jaren was always smiling. She could break the ice with anyone in no time. She brought laughter wherever she went. She was endlessly cheerful and sincere to a fault. Flashes of our time together rushed through my mind. She was... Presumably, you're thinking the girl's gone mad, but that isn't quite right. No. She's been mad all along. What? Could anyone in their right mind keep smiling after seeing their parents murdered and being sold off? Can anyone in their right mind genuinely believe they don't have a sorrow in the world? Could anyone in their right mind be smiling with a sword sticking out of their chest? I don't. I can't. The girl's immeasurable mirth is but a different shade of madness. If she weren't mad, she wouldn't be smiling. Jaren lacks the capacity to comprehend negative emotions. That can't be. She's compassionate, empathetic. There's no way she doesn't understand those emotions. It's called good old-fashioned hard work. She pretends to show compassion, despite the fact that others' pain is incomprehensible to her. No, I refuse. You can't tell me there haven't been moments where you've seen the seams in her act. In one of our conversations, I'd asked Jaren, had you never felt like you got the short end of the stick? To which she had responded, I don't even know what the stick looks like, never mind which end is the short one. While I'd assumed she'd either moved on, or her threshold for happiness was on the low side, the scale she waited on was outright broken. To tell you the truth, I'm rather fond of the girl. After all, I am a madman myself. I wanted to shut out his words, to act like it was all crazy blather, like I didn't see any truth in it. But all the proof I needed was staring right at me. Jaren was smiling, as bright and as genuine as ever. The same smile she always showed us. His blood streamed down the blade in my chest. And still, I couldn't believe it. Still, I couldn't accept that she had chosen this man over us. You said you thought of us like family, Jaren. What happened to that? What happened to all our time together? You would throw it all away for him?
Yaki, remember what I said? Excuse me. That I had my eye on someone.
And?
I love you, Yaki, and everyone else at the brothel. But there's someone I love even more. You know, I'm not the cleverest girl. I can only see what's right in front of me.
How impossibly idiotic could I be? She never had an eye for me. Her heart had always belonged to Barnier. I was being presumptuous when I had assumed she was talking about me at the festival. Why him, though? Why this man of all people? I about fell to my knees, but I managed to hold my balance long enough to stagger back. When the tip of Barnier's blade slipped from my chest, the blood it had all been holding in seemed to rush out all at once. And with it went everything I was feeling. Some revolution this turned out to be rat. As a parting gift, I'll let you in on a little something. The girl was my pawn from the very beginning, an informant sent to keep me apprised of anything that might spark opposition. If someone's amassing wealth illegitimately, I have them killed, or forced to surrender all their assets to me. If someone says something disagreeable about me, I have them hanged. That scheming wench, Ginevra was it, is probably at the bottom of a river by now. But it would seem I failed to keep everything under control, seeing as you're still breathing and dragging a pack of mindless peasants around with you. That's only a minor inconvenience, though. All I have to do is take off your head. And then, without their leader, they'll regress back to the ignorant swine they are. Now, it's time we put this ludicrous revolution to rest. Barnier shifted backward slightly, making to pull the sword out from Jaren's chest. She moaned, the sound a mixture of agony and ecstasy. I thought I could hear the flesh ripping as the blade passed through it. I should have been readying myself to fight again, to brandish my sword and take the bastard's head. But I couldn't move an inch. Everything seemed to grow distant. My spirit was on the verge of collapse. The fire that had blazed within me had been snuffed out in an instant. Countless memories crumbled before my eyes. The word death flashed in my mind, but it brought with it no fear, only vast hopelessness.
Don't you...
But as the last of my will threatened to slip from my grasp, I heard a voice.
remember what I said?
What?
That I want to be together with you forever.
What do you think you're doing? Let go of the sword, Jaren. Lucidity came rushing back to me. Lucidity. I can read, and a split second later, I understood what she meant, what she wanted. I didn't give myself a chance to consider where that road might lead, if I wanted to walk down it, if I would come to regret the decision, or if it was the right thing to do. There was no time to think, only act. I couldn't let this opportunity go. So I shut everything out. My mind, my looming conscience, my sense of right and wrong, my heart. I shoved aside every possible distraction, rekindled the near extinguished fire of my rage, let out a visceral howl. And swung. I could feel the impact in my arms as the blade tore through flesh and bone. Jaren's lifeless body dropped to the floor with a thud. The tip of my blade ripped a gash in Barnier's throat. A geyser of blood erupted from his neck. He bent over, writhing in agony, staggered back a few steps before his legs gave out and he dropped to his knees. His eyes were open wider than I thought possible, and he brought both hands up to his throat to stem the flow of blood. But it did little to help, the crimson stream seeping through the gaps in his fingers. With each beat of his heart, the flow surged, sending up sprays of lifeblood. Impossible. I was right. Noble blood and peasant blood all looked the same. Grunting and groaning, Barnier pawed at the floor, evidently still convinced he could scamper off and escape somehow. He left behind a trail of blood as he crawled. It was, by all rights, over. However, there was still one last thing to take care of. I marched over to the Lord and placed my foot on his back, slamming him down into the ground. I'm not leaving without your head, and I owe it to Jaren to reunite you. Wait! If you kill me, the neighboring counts are sure to intervene before you even realize what's happening. Put down the sword. I'll spare you. You'll spare me? You're in no position to be sparing anyone. You're either a fool or a hopeless optimist. You're not a lord anymore. You have no power. You're just a sick worm. And the count? They won't be an issue. I'll be taking over for you after all. Is that so? How are you planning to do that? You're a peasant. You never entrusted me with a ring that bears the Barnier family crest. I'll use that to make myself out to be the successor to the royal family. And what will you do once you fate your nobility? You have no experience, not the faintest idea how to be a lord. I'm sure I'll govern better than you ever did. You're out of your mind. A peasant like you could never govern an empty plot of land. Not that being a noble makes anyone more qualified, as you've more than clearly demonstrated. I'll take your seat, and then I'll take the world. Ludicrous. Think very hard about this boy. Killing me will be a mistake you can never fix. Put down the sword. Does death frighten you so much you would deign to beg for your life, Lord? Like I said before we began, though, the only way this ends is with one of us dead. I pressed my sword against Barnier's nape, then leaned into it hard. The blade sank into his flesh, the gash spreading like a crack in the glass. Screams of agony echoed through the hall. All the blood in his body seemed to be trying to escape through the gaping hole, creating an ever-growing pool of red around us. hardly long. You too will be driven to madness.
Excuse me?
By the time you figured out what it means to be a lord, you won't be the kind-hearted friend of the people anymore. Living this life, having no one you can trust, it'll eat away at you, and then enough. You'll be your own executioner. Enough! I'll be waiting for you. Down in hell. Here, every guard and every rebel. I have here the Lord's head, taken by my own hands. You have no reason to fight any longer. Put down your arms, all of you, and cease this meaningless battle. Our revolution has come to pass. In less than a day's time, the Lord's manor had fallen. And by the time it was all over, it felt almost underwhelming how completely and utterly we had conquered them. Men cheered and shouted in celebration. Others borrowed suits of armor and pretended to be knights. A fire of different color filled the manor's walls. They believed that, with the Lord's death, everything would suddenly be better for everyone. That nobody would have to suffer anymore. That they would all be happy and live perfectly fulfilling lives. They had no logical reason to believe as such, yet no one seemed to doubt it in the slightest. Everyone seemed to have forgotten that enacting a change required work, and there was still so much of that to be done. The entire rest of the day, men partied and celebrated, paying no heed to the corpses strewn about the property. Even the injured joined in. Nothing could stand in the way of their merrymaking. They raised goblets to my great accomplishments, and I smiled along, though their fiery passion could not penetrate the cold bubble that had formed around me. The only real fervor I had felt all day was while I had crossed swords with Barnier. Now, my head was surprisingly clear. Perhaps clear wasn't right. It was stagnant. I felt as though I was suspended in a dark sludge. Barnier's dying words hovered around me. By the time I figured out what it meant to be a lord, I wouldn't be the kind-hearted friend of the people anymore, he had said. That I would have no one to trust. That it would eat away at me. Drive me mad. And then I would be my own executioner. Again and again, I tried to tell myself that I wasn't like him. That I wouldn't end up like him. But his voice, his curse, refused to leave me. Images of his decapitated head flashed through my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that one day, that would eventually be my head. Well, there you are, kid. Been wondering where you ran off to. Oh, Gratian. How goes it? That sure ain't the face of a man who just pulled off a goddamn revolution. Your wound hurting? I got something like that can make the pain go away if you want some. Ah, there we go. There she is. Take one of these leaves and grind it up at the back of your mouth. It should start tingling right at the back of your head in no time, and then all the pain's gone like it was never there. It's some pretty great shit. If you don't mind getting a little loopy for a bit anyway. Is that a weed? I'm calling the cops. But after all that, it ain't like you're gonna need to think straight for a while. So what do you say? Take a few? I think I'll pass. It does hurt, but I can handle it. And why the long face? You're a hero now. People are gonna be looking up to you. And that ain't a great look. What's with the big rock? I don't remember seeing this here before. Please don't touch it. It's Jaren's gravestone. I'm fine. What are you talking about? It's fine. It's fine. Just made a grave for Jaren. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm Apollo Justice and I am fine. Oh, so that's what got you down in the dumps, huh? I mean, I get it. I sure as hell didn't see that one coming either. Talk about a shocker. Sweet little thing like her in bed with the Lord. Women can be fucking scary creatures at times. That's why I like them. I don't even want to think about what kind of shit she was scheming while she got all chummy with us. There was no mask, no facade, no scheming. She was always just being herself. You out of your mind, kid? She played us for months, not the tiniest hint. If that ain't a facade, I don't know what is. She never believed herself to be lying to us. Assuming Jaren genuinely didn't grasp the concept of sadness or fear, that she was incapable of experiencing negative emotions, then it does kind of add up. She loved the Lord, while also enjoying her time with us. To her, they weren't mutually exclusive. To her, feeling both was not wrong. Ugh. Well, it looks like you're a lot better at arithmetic than me, 'cause that don't come close to adding up in my head. Or maybe you just don't want to accept that it was all a big fat lie. Perhaps. I'm not Jaren, and I don't know what she had with the Lord, so all I can do is speculate. And perhaps I do merely want to believe that she was part of the family. Gratien, could I ask you to keep this from Maria and the other girls? You sure? Regardless of what Jaren's actual feelings were, I don't see any reason to sully their memory of her. Fair enough, I guess. Not like the dead can make their own case, so the least we can do for the ones they left behind is not taint their memory. Unless someone knows how to bring them back, that is. Indeed. You sure everything's good, kid? What are you so concerned about? I mean, this is yours now. When we leave, you'll be staying here. I just want to make sure you're really up for it. If you want, I could take your place. Pardon? If you think being in charge will be too much to handle, I'll gladly take it off your shoulders. Hell, we both know I'm more of a fighter than you. I could have taken Barnier out without getting so much as a scratch on me. What do you say? I'll do it. Don't be stupid. The whole city would be savages by year's end if you were in charge. Hey, just offering you a way out, kid. It's my burden to bear, and I have no intention of passing it off. I'll have myself back in order tomorrow. Well, if you say so. But don't forget, you're in this for the long haul. Don't worry, I can handle it. Narrator, he could not handle it. So do you have any specific plans moving forward? The woman you were conspiring with, Ginevra, was it? They offed her, didn't they? She was hardly the only noble hoping to see Barnier overthrown. I'll have to start by building up a solid foundation of supporters among the nobility. Do we really need the dick squad on our side, though? Why don't we just cut ourselves off from all that crap and start our own country? A place just for us. No royalty or nobility to rob us blind. Just our city. That would be ideal, but unfortunately, it isn't quite so simple. We can't just overthrow the Lord, take over the city, and build a big wall around the borders. Without a clear, legitimate transfer of power, the neighboring counts will undoubtedly intervene. Didn't Nordlingen? Isn't that just what happened there? So we fight back. What's the problem? Our little band of peasants was only able to take down the Lord because we had the element of surprise. But what happens when a trained, organized army marches on our borders? You don't need me to answer that for you. This world's kind of a massive bitch, huh? So true, bestie. But it's a hell of a lot better than having old Barnier in power, I guess. He'll change things for the better, though, won't you? You have my word. Great. So, Jacopo, I know we'll be parting ways here soon and all, but I want you to know I'll never forget this day. We crashed the gates of hell together and made the devil our bitch. It don't matter how far apart we are, nothing will change what we've been through. So let's make this city into the best goddamn city around. You from the top, me from the bottom. Yes, let's. It's a great comfort to know I have you down there. I have a good deal of trust in you. I won't disappoint you, kid. And don't you ever hesitate to give me a shout if you need something. When we first met, I kind of wanted to throw you off a cliff, and you still rub me the wrong way sometimes. But I also consider you one hell of a partner. And I mean that. We risked our lives for each other. Brothers in arms. I thank you. I, too, consider you a good comrade. You and the rest of the gang. I was beginning to think you'd never come out and say it. Now remember, kid, don't you let us down with this. You'll be hearing from us, capiche? I know you can do it. I won't let you down. Gay as fuck. Just kiss. Gratian, the himbo of all time. It'll all go fine. I have allies. Friends I can count on. With their help, I can change things for the better. I can. Believe in myself. I can do this. I have no reason to think otherwise. This fluttering in my stomach is nothing to be concerned about. When that fated night came to an end, the vast bright blue sky of morning greeted me. I looked up at that sky, standing in a manner that still reeked of blood, and Morgana filled my thoughts. If she were here now, what would she say to me? Congratulations. It was all so unlikely, I let out a little laugh. She would undoubtedly criticize me from seizing power through such violent means. Her lips would twist into a scowl. She would damn me to hell for the 1000th time. She would tell me what I had done was extremely foolish. But perhaps she would also express some concern about my injuries. That was all in my own imagination, though. She would never be at my side again. We would never look up at the same sky again. I would never hear her sing again. My old life was gone, a relic of the past. It would never be the same again. Not without the girl I loved being a part of it. Okay, bet. Thanks, depression. Yes. Right. This is a good place to stop, because I don't think my voice can take anymore. And also, this is just a good place to stop, because this is like another hour, and I'm just not. I'm just not. Anyway. Sorry. When you open your notifications and the first thing you see is get a grip, Miles. So true. We will be taking a break from Fata Morgana until I'm moved. I'm gonna pack up my PS4. Oh my god. Friday streams will still happen for the next couple weeks. And then I leave. And I don't come back. I'll post a schedule. We're gonna need the emotional break in between this and part 2. Because part 2, man. Ouchie ouch. Ouchie ouch. Probably like 3 more streams of Requiem for Innocence, I'd say. And then Fragments. And then Happily Ever After. Not in that order. It would be the rest of this. Happily Ever After, Fragments. And then Reincarnation. And then short stories. And then we're done. That should take us to like the end of the year, I think. Reincarnation's not that long. Short stories will go by fast. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, have a great evening. Stay safe. And, if you find Jacopo relatable, I'm sorry. Me too. Good night.